The time is now 6:33 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Before we begin, I'm as surprised as you all are, but through executive action, President Henriquez has resigned and appointed Sophia Scheffler, the Gazette editor-in-chief, to be the interim president. Let's give her a round of applause. Councilors, please head over to Echo 360 to record your attendance. If you're having any troubles with your Echo 360, please raise your placard. Thank you. Councilors, in the announcements tab on Slack, I just put a Google form. It'll take a quick minute, but if you guys could all fill that out right now, thank you. Please stop filling out the form. I'm going to edit it real quick. Okay, you can refresh the form and it should be updated. Thank you for filling out the form, counselors. We'll have the date finalized by this evening, and I'll send a Slack message with the date. Those are really all my comments. Just one more. Later this evening, myself and VP Student Engagement are going to Delilah's or McCabe. So if you guys want to come, you guys are more than welcome. We'll send more information on Slack. Moving on to our executive reports, I invite President Sophia Scheffler to the podium to deliver her executive report.
Hi, everyone. You would think only really having a few weeks left in the role, I won't be able to get much done, but hey, I'll give it my best shot. I can here tell you about all the things that the previous president did in the last month. First, I would have to ask that you please do not ask me about Abbott Elementary. I cannot give you a good answer. All questions about Abbott Elementary should be turned to Kat. As well, Women in House happened, looked amazing on Instagram. Take Back the Night, also amazing. Oh, there we go, I'm saved.
I can tell you Sophia didn't think that prank was going to work, but I did get a text from Chahat that just said "what" in all capital letters, so it did work. Happy April Fools, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our silly little prank. I was telling the Gazette, you can't actually report on this because someone's going to only read the title and then be very, very confused. But welcome to Council. It's April, but this is the second part of the March Council meeting, so prank actually times 2. I hope you found that funny. Yeah, I put this in a hot sec ago. I think the new episode actually came out yesterday, so I actually haven't watched it, so don't ask me, but it's been good so far. But yeah, top 3 highlights. I did 4 because I'm the president for like 5 more weeks, so that's my, wow, actually, your whole team is leaving. That's really funny. Bye, guys. Bye, Gazette. But Women in House was fantastic, and it did happen. Sophia is right. I knew she would be a great successor. Yeah, it was incredible. We took 20 young women down to Queen's Park. They did 4 professional development sessions. They shadowed 2 different MPPs across 3 different parties, and we held a reception where we heard remarks from the official leader of the opposition, the deputy leader of the Green Party, one of the key MPPs in the Liberal Party as well. So that was super exciting. And a big highlight for me, it's a program that hasn't run at Queen's Park since I was in 2nd year, so it's really great to be able to help bring the program back. Take Back the Night also happened. Sophia is right, and it was fantastic. This was the USC's first campus-wide Take Back the Night, and it was super well attended. I know a couple of you were there. Thanks for stopping by. We were joined by several community partners as well, and some folks in administration. And I received a very lovely note from a student today, actually, talking about how much the event meant to her. So that was like a fill my cup kind of moment. Wixa Fashion Show. Saad and I were in the Wixa Fashion Show. Super random, just at the end. It did not make the Gazette coverage, but I'll survive. And I did a 4th because as of yesterday, Team 61 is complete. Everybody clap. And I'm going to defer speaking rights to incoming President Shah for a second to talk about that. Is that fine?
Incoming President Shah.
Hi, everyone. So as you might have saw on social media and our Gazette coverage as well, the full Team 61 has been finalized. I'm very happy and proud to announce that joining Team 61, myself, Stefan, and Sabrine for Vice President Orientation and Programming. We have Sophie Hug from Science. For Vice President Student Engagement, we have Azad Gill from IB and Poli-Sci. And finally, for Vice President Student Services, we have Habiba from Poli-Sci as well. I think they're amazing people to work with. If you're all coming back, if some of you here are coming back to Western next year, I'm really, really glad to show, not just council, but the whole student body about how we can use your experiences, and it's going to be a great year. So we can give them a round of applause, I guess.
Yay!
I defer my speaking rights back to President Henriquez.
Is that Joe?
President Henriquez.
Okay, well, there we go. Updates, I just chatted briefly about Women in House and Take Back the Night. Such lovely programs, and definitely some big highlights of the year for me. Quick update on the census. The census is out. You might have seen a video of Steve and I in that, and I think you'll see one of Saud in the coming days. So please, please, please send that to your constituents and send it out. Feedback is the cornerstone of the work we do here at the USC. It's a great way to connect with your constituents. I would invite you to send the link to your incoming, the counselors and faculty presidents who are replacing you as well. That feels like a good move in terms of student engagement and council engagement like we've been talking about all year. So fill it out because there's some fun prizes associated with it, like various sorts of home appliances and I think airline tickets. It's exciting. Strat plan, you'll get a presentation on that later today. Thanks to everyone who submitted feedback. Really excited to be able to renew that and set up Steve's team for success as they look towards renewing some of the frameworks that the USC operates under next year. The strategic plan is kind of, again, like we talked about, the overarching mission, vision, values of the organization. So those are unchanging, but the way that we view them shifts a little bit with each demographic of students that arrives on campus. Transition is going super, super well. So Steve and I have been doing transition since he was elected. I think, like 1 week after you were elected, maybe even sooner than that. So we've been gabbing, passing along all the things that I learned and presidents before me learned. And then the full team transition started today. So as some of you might know, we kind of have like an interesting way of building teams. So like the president has a mandate from the public, elected at large. The EA and UA are elected by you folks at council and your incomings as well. And then 3 are hired by the USC with a counselor, a board director, and the incoming president. So Steve serving as voting members. And then we have non-voting advisory from our people and development department. So they started transition today, which is great. And the next 6 weeks will involve them, the incoming team, getting familiar with our staff and our processes, the corporation behind the USC, getting to know council and planning for all the exciting things that they'll be doing next year. So that's always a fun one. Upcoming, a lot of acronyms. I have a budget presentation to the Board of Governors Property and Finance Committee. So as you guys are well aware, you looked at the budgets that were prepared for each portfolio by the VPs and the corporate budget that was prepared by our senior management team. And then basically you guys saw the budget, you approved the budget, but because Western by law collects the fees on our behalf, we give a presentation to the Property and Finance Committee of the Board of Governors, which is their highest oversight body, that just make sure that like we did all the things that we said that we were gonna do, which was like take it to the members of our corporation, which is you folks, and make sure that you're cool with it and do a presentation and all that fun stuff. So that's coming up, and that's the final step of the budget process. And then at Summer Council, Steve and his team will present their allocations like we talked about how they want to spend the money that the outgoing team allocated in each of the portfolios. Upcoming, more transition. Kind of the whole month of April is just more transition. Our kind of official programming end is the 31st, although we do have late night breakfast April 13th to 15th. Would highly recommend coming out to that. It was really fun last semester. And again, we love to feed you while you're going through the harrows of the academic exam season. And then actually one more thing that I wanted to plug, tomorrow morning at 9:30, we're doing a bias in hiring kind of training / breakfast. You would have gotten an email from our people and development team. That was an idea that came through our staff EDI committee. So shout out to Hamza, who I think is the counselor on that committee as well. And we have a few representatives from like our intern team and our ABP coordinator pool, our part-time staff, our full-time staff. And so whether or not you've done hiring for your councils already, whether or not you do hiring period in your roles, I think it'll be a really interesting morning. We have a great facilitator from Pillar Nonprofit, which is a local group in the area. And actually, she has done a couple of the faculty council EDI trainings over the course of the year. So for those of you from the faculty council space, which is all of you, LOL. But for those of you from the faculty council space, you might see a friendly face or familiar face tomorrow. But yeah, any cues? Can't imagine that there are. But Pooja has a
Councillor
cue.
Adhikari.
I would like to defer my speaking rights to Vice President Student Engagement Saad.
Vice President Ahmed.
Hi. I think you're great, Kat. I
Oh,
think you have a
thanks,
great
Saad.
council report.
Thanks.
This is only for questions. Ask a question.
Sorry.
Yeah, Armand, where are you coming from? What the heck? Just because you're going to McCabe's, you can't.
President
you can't keep Robert's
Henriquez,
rules and orders?
why is student engagement the best portfolio at the USC? Please explain in 5 words.
Actually, I could think of no better person to perhaps answer this question than my own Vice President Student Engagement. So I'd love to defer my speaking rights to Vice President Ahmed. I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either. I think student engagement truly is the most important role here because what is the USC if not students? Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, President Henriquez.
I'm actually staying up here, yeah. I'll do a spin though. Ready? Hi guys, I'm Jenna. I'm here to do Jenna's council report as well. So Jenna's in the UK. For those of you who are at our CIA dinner, which is not Central Intelligence Agency, it's coordinators, interns, and associate vice presidents. You would have heard from Jenna that she's in the UK, but she's traveling and having a lovely time. She's attending a family wedding there, so we miss her, but I'm happy to pretend to be here for a day and do a report. So updates, Free the Dot funding extension. So I know that her and I have both alluded to this in council reports, but now we're happy to announce that we did receive a funding extension from Western, the tune of $400,000, which is really exciting. It's always great to partner with Western on initiatives like this, and that they see the value in continuing to support this form of equity and wellness on campus. So if you didn't catch that announcement, go check out our video. There's a fun one. And there'll be an even more fun video with the full exec team coming your way that's all about Free the Dot. So, Dad, I'm in a council meeting. Can I call you back? Okay, bye. He got mad that I didn't pick up the phone last time, so I did have to pick up the phone. I apologize. Harm Reduction Fair went great. It was run by Jenna's coordinator, Cece, and that was a really cool one. We had a lot of community partners in. Kind of the tagline for harm reduction this year has been party-wise, and so learning how to engage responsibly if students are interested in that. This is the second one that the USC has done this year. And there were fun cupcakes and Rice Krispies is what I remember from the event. Bidet advocacy, that was a grassroots student initiative, actually. So some students approached members of the USC executive about wanting to have a bidet on campus. And so Saad and Jenna did some great work with our partners in the Office of EDI. I think they ended up getting, through the work of the student groups, like the MSA and some other student groups had kind of come forward with it, about 300 responses, which is really great in terms of student engagement on that file. So that was really, really cool. Women in House, Jenna was with me. It was great. The girlies went on that trip. So it was me, Jenna, and Rag. Take Back the Night, Jenna was also there with the rest of the executive. It was a great event, like we talked about. But it was truly one of the, I'm talking as Kat now, one of the most memorable moments of my term. And I know that having a lot of you guys there really meant a lot to all of us. So thanks for that. This is a bit of a Senate update. One of the joys of Jenna and I's jobs is we still get to go to Senate meetings. So that's where we met, actually, as student senators, and we still go to this day. So the big note for council is that there was some Senate advocacy around having more explicit gender-based and sexual violence resources in syllabi a couple of years ago. That was actually something that Jenna and I were advocating on when we were student senators way back in the day. So kind of an evolution of that. Senate recently passed a mandatory gender-based and sexual violence modules as well as academic integrity modules. So all students on campus would be required to take those modules. So again, making sure that people are really familiar with our policies, but also with the culture that we're trying to build on campus in collaboration with our partners at Western. The Future of Teaching and Learning Action Plan Retreat happened. So that is a coordinated effort on behalf of Student Experience and a few other divisions at Western to literally look at the future of teaching, learning, and assessment. And there will be some town halls for open student consultation coming up for that. I know Reagan attended that with Jenna, a couple of the sessions as well. And I know a few of you folks in different capacities. I saw Braden go like this, he was there. But a few folks were there between council, faculty councils, the USC, and the student senators as well. So never a dull moment when it comes to academic advocacy on campus, but definitely a worthwhile pursuit for all those involved. Human Libraries, collaboration with Western Libraries. So this was an event put on by Jenna's AVP Sabrine, who's also the incoming VP UA, bringing in some really powerful women across like the Western and the London community to share their stories. That's what a human library is. You're like reading a human, AKA listening to them. And there were some really fun gift baskets and stuff involved as well, all from women-owned businesses. So it was kind of part of the USC's International Women's Day programming, I would say. So on the staff side, our comms team did like a story series where they interviewed like past alumni and past staff of the USC, which was really cool. Would highly recommend checking that out. It's on USC Voice. And then on the programming side, Reagan will talk about probably the IWD brunch that your coordinator did. She might, who knows, but it happened. And then on the UA side as well, I had this Human Libraries event, which was super lovely. So the upcoming for Jenna is the Future of Teaching and Learning Town Halls, like I mentioned. Those will be happening, I think, into probably the next school year as they're ramping up. This is kind of like a multi-month consultation process. But everything that I've heard from Jenna is that it's been really interesting to speak about these kind of things and really aligns with the advocacy that the USC does around teaching, learning, and assessment, which is kind of being renewed this year. And then transition planning. Like all of us, April for Jenna will be all about transition and setting up, Steve and his team for success. So I'm sure she'll tell you all about that when she's back for the next council meeting. But does anybody have any questions about what Jenna has been up to? Barring none, I will go.
Thank you very much. I invite Vice President Saeed to the podium to deliver his executive report.
I forgot to grab my laptop, but we'll just go with it. So top 3 highlights, I think USA's General Assembly was like the day after our last council meeting. That was super exciting. Had the GA go successfully. We were hosting for the first time, I think, since 2017, 2016, something like that, because we were supposed to host the last time during COVID. So it was really fun having it be back on campus. And the paper that Coy, Kat, and I authored was the AI paper, and that passed, as did the other 2 papers, which is really great to see. Number 2 was the Advocacy Day that we mentioned earlier, so I think Saad's going to probably talk a little bit more about that. But Jenna, Saad, and I worked on that. It was really great. I think we saw some of y'all there. Really fun event to kind of promote our portfolios, the work that we do, and hopefully get more students interested in applying to join our portfolios. And then number 3 was the Housing Rights Fair, which I think is officially like the last like USC atrium fair thingy of the year. So I got mine in on the very last day. So that happened on Monday. It was really great. We had some local community partners. We were giving out tenants guides, and we had like a bunch of merch with the tenant guides on a QR code there. Hopefully educated some students on that, had some really good participation there. And we're giving away like a TV, an air fryer, and an espresso machine. So I hope those students that won that are feeling lucky. Updates. So after our last meeting, we met with the Ministry of Colleges, Universities, Research Excellence, and Security, both some staffers from like the ministry side or like the political side, and then also non-political staffers, so the ones that kind of like work there, for years on end. And so we had a meeting on March 10th regarding the OSAP funding changes and the formula changes, as well as some of the other things. The conversation let us know more about some of the other grants. We were able to assure that it wouldn't affect any of the disability related grants, that wouldn't be considered part of the limits. So there was some good clarification. Obviously we're going to continue to advocate for more. it seemed like there might be some room for further advocacy about like interest-free loans in the future and maybe extended repayment periods, but probably not in this budget cycle. But that's definitely going to be something in addition to reversing the changes that we continue to advocate on in the future. They also did suggest that we meet with the Ministry of Finance and the Premier's office, since the decision was also like heavily pushed by them. So this is going to be setting up those meetings in the next couple of weeks. We actually just had a meeting this morning to talk about like who exactly we're going to reach out to and how we're going to meet. So hopefully we get to do that before the end of my term. Next thing is working on the accessibility policy paper with my team. So Janine actually just sent me a draft of it, so I'll be reviewing that shortly and then sending it out to the External Affairs Standing Committee. And then after it goes to that standing committee and we get kind of some review from them, I'm going to try and send it out to everybody before the council meeting where we actually pass it. And it'll be kind of a similar process for Jenna's paper for teaching, learning, and assessment. So we're trying to coordinate our work on those. So hopefully you'll get a chance to look at it before the council meeting if you're not on the standing committee, and give any feedback beforehand. And then transition prep. I feel like you've heard that from all of us, and it'll continue to be a thing for the next month and a half while we're still here. Upcoming is our provincial budget response. So I actually think that already happened. We weren't quite sure of the timing, but USC released their provincial budget response on Friday, I want to say last week. And so that was already released. And then Kat and I will be attending the Chamber of Commerce event with the Parliamentary Budget Officer, April 7th. That's basically the person who says how much things will cost for the federal government and kind of explain some of their financial policies. So that'll be really interesting. It's hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, and we usually meet with like some good leaders in the community that attend those events, so that'll be a good one. And then USA's kind of final event for the year is PIHEAD, which is their Partners in Higher Education Dinner. So usually we'll have MPPs there, USA alumni, different sector stakeholders from organizations like OCUFA and which is like the faculty union and some other organizations that operate provincially. So that'll be a really fun event. And then finally, I have the Ontario Legislative Internship Program. They've asked USA to do a presentation there that I'll be doing on their behalf. So that'll be really, really fun. It's basically this program where you get to go work in the legislature for a year, and you work for 6 months for a member of government and then 6 months for a member of the opposition. So it's a really great kind of nonpartisan experience for youth to get involved. It's kind of like Women in House, but for a whole year, which is really fun. So yeah, we'll be doing a presentation for them to kind of explain like the student advocacy side of things. Yeah.
Are there any questions?
No.
Thank
I forgot
you.
my ask me about, since none of you asked, the USC coordinator and AVP applications. They're closing on the 7th. So if you're around next year or know someone who is, definitely apply to those.
I invite Vice President Welpley to the podium to deliver her executive report.
Hi everyone. My Ask Me About is The Housemaid, the movie versus the book. I read the book a long time ago, and then I recently watched the movie. The book was just so much better. Anyways, top 3 highlights. The Spur Fashion Show was really, really fun. I've gone a couple years, but so it was kind of nice to see it full circle, see some of the softs that I worked with and some of the LST be a part of it. It was super exciting. Service Ontario Hope renewed. I had to go get my license plate fixed. It was really peeling, and the woman there was just so lovely. I feel like I've had such awful experiences at Service Ontario, so Hope is renewed. And then another highlight is Battle of the Bands. I feel like that we did this so long ago, but honestly, it was one of my fondest memories of this year. It was really, really fun. Sod up on the stage with Ange this time was deeply iconic. I hope some of you saw it. Giving him a mic is always an interesting idea, yet I keep doing it. Anyways, some updates. Last night we had a incoming outgoing LST social where we got to introduce our new VPOP, Miss Sophie, to the teams. Some of her fellow LST would have already known, and some of the incoming LST already know her as well, but it was awesome to kind of get them all in a room together and have some fun games and just kind of some snacks. We did some exam wellness boothing yesterday in Weldon. That was honestly a hit. I think we got rid of close to 600 blankets, did some coffee, did some cookies, did some reusable cups. It was super fun to interact with students in exam season. We did Battle of the DJs and a Delilah's Day Party over the past week. So Saturday we did the day party, and then Monday we did Battle of the DJs. Battle of the DJs was something that came from my AVP. It was her idea, so it was so amazing to see. I think we had 14 submissions of DJs on campus. process. And then 4 of them competed for a gift card and some time there. So it was really exciting to see kind of a different variation of talent come together. We met for a suicide alertness committee for orientation, so doing some changes to the training and sitting on a committee to give a student perspective and give an LST as well as a soft perspective. So it was a goal for me to see some changes in training, so it's really exciting to see that. Women in House, like all of the girls have talked about, was super fun. It was so nice to empower some individuals to get involved. We had SSO, which was so fun to see everybody come together for the first time. It was really special to look around and see all the LSTs get to see their teams together. So it was a nice final send-off as a VPOP. Battle of the Bands, totally complete. Working on doing a transition for this as well to make sure that it's a smooth process to continue forward. Upcoming final programming week, so this is happening this week. I guess it's kind of done technically, but we wrapped that up and then transition as everybody else has talked to.
Are there any questions?
Beauty.
Thank you. I invite Vice President Massey to the podium to deliver his executive report.
I think I forgot to finish the top 3 highlights. But number 1 highlight, I went to an FKA Twigs concert and got Barricade, and so that was super fun. Number 2, I did a guest lecture for a class I'll talk more about later with my old boss Daniel, and that was a lot of fun as well. And then Battle of the Bands, though I think November Witch was robbed of winning. My asking me about is France's municipal elections. There's a lot of infighting. French people are really funny on Twitter. But I guess I can get right into the updates. Grants are closed. We gave away all the money, which is awesome. It's officially closed. We distributed approximately $100,000 to student groups across campus. And so it was awesome to be able to spend all of that this year, because I don't think we have in past years. We have our coat cycle official launch. We've been collecting donated coats from deposit boxes around campus. We've got about 10 locations on our website available, or you can see it on our website. They're available in person, not on our website. So there's bound to be one near you. There's one right by Mustang Lounge in this building. The coats will be cleaned, refurbished, and redistributed to new students for free next September. And then next we've got the Pure AI guest lecture. So I was asked to give a guest lecture on the use of generative AI to a master's class taught by the Associate Dean of Science and a member of Western Center for Teaching and Learning. So I enlisted my former boss and predecessor, Daniel Clapper, to be part of it, and we taught a lesson on using generative AI responsibly and with a practical exercise on how to use it for coding and data processing. And Jenna was able to be there, which was a lot of fun. I think it was in her top 3 highlights too. We had Pride Ball, which was heated rivalry themed this year. The committee decided. It was a ton of fun. In my council report, it says that it's still upcoming because I had written it before it was. But afterwards, I can give you the retrospective. It was a ton of fun. It was a big success. We had a lot better turnout than in previous years. And there's a giant cardboard cutout of Shane and Ilya sitting in my office still that the coordinator wanted to buy. So if anybody wants that, you can't have it. Next, we have Relay for Life. The co-chairs, Anna and Tamron, did an absolutely phenomenal job. It took place March 6th and 7th, and we raised over $70,000 with our final amount still upcoming. But they just did an amazing job, and some of you were part of that, so thank you. There was also a More Than Circumstance charity event that's going to be held with the charity portfolio in collaboration with a charity called More Than Circumstance, a group that supports London's unhoused population. Students will have the opportunity to build care packages that will be distributed by More Than Circumstance to community members in need. The Income Tax Clinic lasts until April 2nd, which is tomorrow. I thought I would be reading this council report last week. So if you haven't done your income taxes yet, I still think they have a couple available spots open. They're right there in the basement next to Baddies Accessories and Life Touch Photography. So go and get your taxes done or help doing your taxes. And then we also had a professional development event. They host an event in partnership with BMO about leading in the workforce during the age of AI. And attendees have been able to earn a BMO AI for All LinkedIn certificate for attending. Now, upcoming is the Early Outreach Conference. Every single year, it's such an amazing event that takes place. Thank you to the Faculty of Social Science for their continued financial support for the program as well. The program plans to bring 211 students from underprivileged backgrounds in grade 8 to show them what university is all about and get them engaged in their education. We'll teach them financial skills so they can plan for their future. And this year, Reach will be space-themed, which I thought was a relevant detail to add as well, just for fun. And then peer support exam study sessions. The Peer Support Center typically closes when exams begin. While we'll no longer be providing support, the center will remain open on select days every Thursday from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. as a study space with food to keep students energized for exams. I think last week they had burgers, so like honestly, go tomorrow night and get some free food and check out the center. And then as well, things to look forward to are changes to the student refugee program to improve it. Jenna and I are moving forward with changes to the student refugee program to provide students in the program with more support. This is being done through increased collaboration with Western to ensure the program operates more responsibly going forward, and making sure that we're not doubling up on the services that we're providing. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I invite Vice President Ahmed to the podium to deliver his executive report.
So sleepy. Good evening, everybody. Ask me about why Socrates would be a terrible partner in crime in any situation. Getting a lot of AI TikToks these days of having Socrates come anywhere in the world with you and how I'd ruin it for you, so I hate him now, my least favorite philosopher. Top 3 highlights. Can we all give a round of applause to Armand Gisal? It's his second last council meeting. What a big job by him this year. Couldn't ask for a better guy up at the front. He totally didn't ask me to put this into my report. Not at all. Second thing that I'm doing with Armand, we're doing Connor Gilbert bar crawl. You don't know Connor Gilbert. He's my buddy since grade 7. We went to middle school and high school together. Never been to a bar in his life till last semester where I actually didn't get to go, but a lot of our friends took him out to a bar. A bunch of bars, actually. It was a big bar crawl. And now we're doing that again this semester to cap off the year, give him one last send-off, so I'm excited for that. And April 8th, so I better see you all there. I'll be sending invites in the Slack, obviously. Thank you, Dane, for letting me do that. Number 3, getting the most pies in the face by health science. So we did I did too. We did a charity challenge. Well, not a challenge. We're trying to raise money for the FHSSC Dream Team, which is a charity arm, and they asked both myself and Kat to be getting pied in the face pretty much, and got pied in the face by a good 20 people, so I really appreciate everybody who was super passionate and came out to slack me in the face. Updates, ton of updates. Club awards are done. They begin out to the clubs, so super excited for that. We decided to try something new. We hosted an iftar just to see like what it would look like if we started hosting some more cultural events at the USC, cultural and religious events, and it actually went really well. So hopefully with Steve's team, they'll begin doing more of those next year with other faith and religious groups as well as other different cultures based on, and the cool thing was we got to work with the club on it, which is a huge part of CAT's platform as well, to connect the USC and clubs, but also coordinated in clubs. So my coordinator got to work with the MSA on that, and it was super cool and well done. The SDF website is done. If you go to the actual council report document, you can find the website itself. I would love for you all to take a look at it, send me any changes that you'd like to make, or if you don't think the formatting is great, let me know what you think can be improved. This is just a first draft. We want to at least get it out there, so hopefully Steve's team next year can keep iterating on it and changing whatever they feel could be changed. Advocacy Day was a whole lot of fun. We ran 3 cahoots. We gave out a bunch of big prizes. We actually did the period simulator, which was really fun. Whole lot of stuff. We got really good engagement. I think some people from infrastructure were telling me we got over like 1,000 different people just doing different stuff there, which is pretty awesome. I think advocacy is something that has always been strategically important to make more fun to students so that they understand how important it is. So I was really happy to see that go so well. Student Publications Fair is done. That was run by my AVP, Alyssa, a few weeks ago. I don't remember if I said this in my last council report, but I'm going to say it in this one anyway because I wanted to make sure I got that out there. She worked with Chahat on that from the art and the rest of the Arts Council as well, so that was really exciting, and it went super well. We got hundreds of people that attended. Hoping to do it in September next year, as a lot of them gave feedback that September would be a better time to do it, but it was really great to get that off the ground and running. Take Back the Night's complete. A lot of my work there was just engaging different community groups and engaging students to come out, and I think we had a good attendance and some amazing community groups came out, and I think we had a really good event. Kat had a great speech, so it was really great to just sit there and like immerse yourself into all of that, so that was awesome. Attending a lot of club events. They were really great, don't get me wrong. I love students and I love student groups. I think I went to every single fashion show. I went to I went to a lot of things, I don't know. Pretty much every day of my calendar I had like an evening event, which was great. It was a lot of fun. Cannot complain. I do love how much students put into like all the work they do on campus. So it's really great getting to go out and celebrate that. Transition writing has been something I'm doing right now, so just making sure everything is ready for Azad next year. We're currently running a donation drive in the UCC atrium. Tomorrow is our last day. It'll be running until 3 p.m. tomorrow. It's for the Southern Ontario Aboriginal Health. I'm not going to say the rest, but it's something around those lines. We've been calling it SOA Hack, so that's my bad. It's being run by my Indigenous Relations Coordinator. So they're looking for any like products of necessity. I'm going to call it that. So that would be absolutely wonderful if you guys have time to go drop off some non-perishable food, some period products, toothbrushes, soap, anything you really have the ability to donate tomorrow in the atrium will be absolutely amazing. You can get some stickers, some coffee vouchers, and maybe some hoodies even if you do so. Last but not least, along with Club Awards, we also did our second annual Club President's Dinner, and that was super good. They all had a great time. We got them like these super cool custom name tags. We played a Kahoot with them. Yeah, I think they all had a great time. I'm really happy to hear that we have had really good feedback. We had over 100 clubs attend, so that was really cool. And upcoming transition. Woo! More excitement, guys. Woo! There we go. Do you have any questions? That's Armand's line, but I'm taking it. God.
Councillor Bose.
Vice President Ahmed, you mentioned that Socrates is your least favorite philosopher. Who is your most favorite philosopher and why?
I would say my most favorite philosopher is probably well, you could have a least favorite something and never have a favorite. What's the issue with that?
It just sounds pretty negative. Yeah, very, very performative.
I'll give Plato his dues. I'm only like halfway through my introduction to philosophy book. I haven't had much time to read it, so right now I've gone through Socrates and Plato. Yeah, that's halfway of the book. Ask Sophie. I don't know. She goes through it really slowly. That's not my fault. The book is called Sophie's World. I'm not talking about a lovely Gazette editor-in-chief, Sophia Scheifler. She goes through books very quickly, I'm sure. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you.
I love you all.
I invite President Henriquez to the podium to deliver the update on the strategic plan.
What's up, Slayers? I'm going to pull it up on so I know what is going on. Hey, folks. Thanks for everybody who gave their feedback on the strat plan. So I'll go to the next slide. This is the cover that our comms team made for students by students. So I'll give you a little bit of a backgrounder. If you go to the next slide. So what is a strategic plan? A strategic plan is the culmination of core organizational values, ideas, and aspirations of the USC. So the mission, vision, and values of the USC don't change. The way that we approach them in terms of our programming, our advocacy, our corporate governance, our investments may shift with the needs of students. Take something like COVID. Did students really need a bus pass? Maybe less than they needed wellness support. So depending on what kind of circumstances students are going through externally, internally, the makeup of campus, though the way that we live out that mission, vision, values may look different. So the strategic plan provides consistency for student leaders year over year and long-term strategic direction for the corporation. So the corporation is able to look at a document and be like, okay, these are our mission, vision, and values, and these are, the way that students at this moment are viewing it. How are we living that out and what we're making investments in what we're servicing and who we're hiring to staff and how we're supporting the executive team and things like that. So the day-to-day strategic direction of the organization, the tactical direction, comes from the presidential platform, which becomes the executive roadmap. So Steve's team will be guided by the executive roadmap that they pull together based on the platform that he was elected on. And that provides the day-to-day, on-the-ground, tactical, here's what we need to get done for students. We're responding to the feedback in the moment. Our census data year over year shows us and points us to how students want us to live out our mission, vision, and values over their life cycle as a student. And ideally, a strategic plan in the USC or the Student Association context is renewed every 4 to 5 years, as the life cycle of a student is around 4 to 5 years. So when you renew every 5 years, you're renewing under a completely different group of students than the first strategic plan was written under. So I know I chatted a little bit when we first started talking about strategic plans way back in the fall, that the USC's current strategic plan was renewed without changes in 2021. So the last time it was looked at in a substantive matter in terms of like the copy was in 2017. So I was in grade 9. So I lived my whole life as a student here on campus operating under a strategic plan that wasn't actually evaluated while I was here as a student. And for many of you, that's the same case. So coming into this year, it was part of the platform, something that I wanted to look at. Again, the mission, the vision, and the values never change. Those are core and fundamental to what we do day in and day out. You don't wake up one day and decide that students don't have the power to change the world. But what you do decide is how you support students in achieving all that they want to achieve. So for the USC, Armand, if you please, these are our areas of focus. These don't change. So that's student advocacy, support, development, engagement, and student life. And the reason why I'm bringing the strat plan now is because as we're thinking about the conversations for next year, the conversations we've been having all year about student engagement, these are the 5 areas that you really should be holding executive teams. So, sorry, Steve, you got to look at Steve next year and be like, listen, all the work that he's doing, all the work that's being delegated to his VPs, all the work that the corporation is doing, does it represent student advocacy? Does it make sense from an advocacy perspective? Is it supporting students? Is it professionally developing students? Is it engaging students? And is it supporting the kind of life that they want to lead on campus? So that's why a lot of our programs exist. Like, for example, our coordinators, interns, and AVPs program fits squarely under the student development portfolio. We created that portfolio to provide opportunities for students to experience professional development on campus and build the skills that they need to be job ready for the workforce. And in a lot of cases at the USC, be paid for their expertise in doing so. So if you go to the next slide, what's been updated? So the body text, like those of you who checked out the document saw, it's been updated to be more reflective of the current student experience. We've talked about the work that we've done in democracy building. We talk about the way that we do investments, which has been a bigger conversation here on campus. One of the more substantive updates that I added was a section about the USC as a not-for-profit corporation. So I feel like we spent a lot of this year talking about council and board and like what does that actually mean. So in there's literally a section called How We Operate, and it explains to students that council is our political entity. You provide the political and the advocacy direction. You say jump, we say how high. I met with a counselor who's actually, actually she's not here, I lied. I thought she was here for a sec, but she's not. But I met with a counselor recently who was asking me about wanting to put a motion forward about a bunch of changes she wanted to make to the website. I was like, we can just do that. Like, you can just ask me that. Like, you guys govern the policy of the USC on the political side as per our bylaws. So our advocacy stances, our policy papers, that's all you. But because you are the political membership of our corporation, so under ANCA, you are literally the members of the corporation. Like, if I had to go and tell my legal counsel who the members of my corporation are, I would give them the council website and go, look, these are all my people. These are the members of the corporation. You're allowed to ask us for things all the time, and we'll tell you what's possible. We'll tell you what's not. We'll give you our recommendations. So just like Councillor Churchill's motion about the app and how we did a presentation on like what the app is going to be like and how to integrate some of the things that he wants, you're the members of the corporation. So that's how you help provide political direction to the executive. So think of the executive like cabinet, you're the government. And then on the corporate side, we run operations, but we don't just run operations to run them. The Purple Store, the Spoke, the Wave, the Cove, each have a very specific purpose here on campus. So the Wave is one of those areas that really provides a lot of space for programming for students and allows us to bring in a lot of the services that students are looking for in terms of event planning in-house. The Spoke is a huge revenue driver for us, and all of the revenues that come out of the Spoke are reinvested in its operations, but also the programming that we offer so that we're able to offer that at a reduced or free cost to students. And so all of the actions of the corporation are guided by the strategic mission, vision, and values. If it doesn't support student development, student support, student advocacy, student engagement, student life, we wouldn't be doing it. And so I wanted to make it really explicit so that students can see why those exist. Because on the surface, you might be like, oh, why why do we have a coffee shop and why don't we charge 25 more cents for cream cheese and then turn a $160,000 additional profit? The operations for us serve as a place for student development. Any of the revenues can be reinvested into the student experience, but also it's advocacy on campus that, you know, no matter what anybody else wants to do, students always know they can get an affordable meal from us at Western and from us on Western's campus as the USC, and as an organization that really cares about things like food insecurity. That's super important. So the corporate side helps us live out the mission, vision, and values that you guys hold us accountable to every day. So, and then you'll see there the mission, vision, and values don't change. But on the corporate side, like I said, we've got our board of directors. You hear a report from Grace every month. We've got our full-time staff. We have over 70 full-time staff that work in the building and hundreds of part-time staff as well. A lot of them in our food and beverage operations. That's a huge source of professional development for students. You might have seen like a line outside today if you were in the UCC, and that was students interviewing to work at the Spoke, the Wave, and the Cove, among other things today. We've got our retail services, so our Purple store downstairs, and that's also where a lot of the faculty councils and clubs can get merch ordered through, and that's as well ensuring that students, you know, have like a dedicated place to do that kind of thing. And then we have tenants, actually. So, for example, you might not know that the grocery store is a tenant downstairs. We've got the pharmacy downstairs. And our corporate side is actually really intentional about the services that we put down there to provide access to students. So, you know, there's a set dispensing fee at the pharmacy downstairs so that students don't have to worry about having to pay out of pocket. And it's a pharmacy that works really well with our insurance providers so that students can use their Purple Care here. That's why we have vision downstairs. That's why we have a chiropractor. That's why we have a grocery store. That's why we have a barber shop. All of the services down there in the space that we sublease really helps ensure that, you know, we're picking business providers and we're picking organizations that align with what students are looking for on campus, and we're making it easy for students. So as an organization that manages our own trust, for example, a healthcare trust, you know, in another organization, like the fact that everybody can get their eyes checked and use their full vision benefits isn't something that would necessarily serve a for-profit corporation if they're trying to turn a profit, right? But at a student-run organization and a not-for-profit whose mission, vision, and values is about serving students, having a vision care center downstairs as a tenant, even if it means higher utilization, is actually in our best interest. Because for us at the USC, it's not about a return on investment, it's about a return on impact. That's what ROI means at the USC. So, with that, do you have any questions?
If you have any questions, please raise your placard.
I was going to say Armand is facilitating that. Ariana, what are you doing here?
Make a statement.
Councillor Xia.
Mr. Speaker, may I make a statement, or does that have to be a question?
You can make a statement.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Just want to say that, like, strat plans, we hear this word a lot, right? But after taking a quick look at it and talking to Kat about it too, it's not a detailed step-by-step of how next year is going to look. Rather, it's going to be a conversational piece that gets incorporated into the executive roadmap and how it fits in the platform, right? I think that it sheds a lot of light into the history of the USC. I think there's a little blurb about how this organization came to be, or what our values really mean, and how us as counselors fit into both the political side of the organization as well as the nonprofit side of the organization as well. So I really encourage all of you to take a read. If you haven't yet, I fully support the strat plan. I can't wait to, share more of it and consider more of the gaps in it as well if we need to put any more frameworks into how the USC operates as well next year.
Guys, I can just leave my job. This is great. Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Adhikari.
Thanks so much, Kat, for all the information. I know you mentioned that this was informed by student feedback and data, and in particular the census. I was wondering if there was any other pieces of data that you were using to inform the strat plan.
Yeah.
And what areas as well.
I would say the biggest piece has probably been from the census. That's why we keep plugging the census, because it really is the most complete piece year over year of feedback that we get from students. But it's honestly been the conversations that we've had this year, information that's come through our student engagement portfolio, The VPs had a chance to look at it as well. I know I answered some questions from counselors over email and Slack and things like that. So I would say like the strategic plan is also informed by the strategic plans before it. I think that's a really crucial piece of data to kind of take into consideration, because as much as the USC changes in terms of like the day-to-day, like services go away, services come back, we introduce new ideas, we take away different ideas. It all comes down to this like central mission of like really serving students. And I think that one of the things that the last several iterations of the strategic plan have done really well is making sure that they sort of serve as like the North Star, if that makes sense. So again, kind of to Steve's point, not dictating the day-to-day, that comes from the direct political mandate that the president receives every year that the executive execute, but rather the where are we going and like what should the USC look like 60 years from now? It should still be an organization that operates with integrity. It should still be an organization that values democracy. It still should be an organization that's student-led. It should be an organization that fundamentally believes that students have the power to change the world, right? And so when we're looking at, you know, the strategic plans before, there's a reason why it hasn't been updated to be like, all of a sudden we value something completely different than integrity, because the reality is it's those values and those core kind of fundamental tenets of the work that we do that helps elevate the political mandate every year, that helps make sure that the decisions our board is sober second thoughting, that's what we call the board, sober second thought, is in line with some kind of overarching guiding principle that's been informed by conversations with everyday students and the data that's really coming directly from them. And so I have no idea if that answers your question, but that's my tangent.
Thank you so much. That was perfect.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, President Henriquez.
No problem.
I'm going to motion for a 5-minute recess. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Lovey, are there any objections? We will return at 7:34 p.m. The time is now 7:35 p.m. I call this meeting back to order. Moving on to the motion to approve executive reports. The motion reads, be it resolved that council accept the executive reports for March 2026. President Henriquez is the mover. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Wasti. Are there any questions regarding the motion? Are there any amendments? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Please head over to Echo 360 to cast your vote. Just waiting on a couple more votes. The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to our second readings of our motions from last week. We have the motion to approve administrative amendments to the fees and financial statements policy. The motion reads, whereas the USC regularly reviews its policies and procedures to ensure clarity and consistency, whereas the fees and financial statements policy requires minor administrative updates, be it resolved that Council approve the administrative amendments to the fees and financial statements policy as presented. President Henriquez is the mover and Councillor Bose is the seconder. Are there any amendments to this motion? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Please head over to Echo 360 to cast your vote. The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the motion to approve amendments to the working group policy. The motion reads, whereas the USC regularly reviews its policies to ensure clarity, consistency, and effective governance practices, whereas the current working group policy contains ambiguities regarding formation standards, reporting expectations, extension procedures, and dissolution mechanisms, be it resolved that Council approve the revised working group policy as presented. President Henriquez is the mover and Councillor Bose is the seconder. Are there any amendments to this motion? Are there any points of debate? Are there any objections? Please head over to Echo 360 to cast your vote. The motion passes unanimously. If you're part of the Western community and have any questions or comments, please raise your hand now. If you have any new business items, please raise your placard. I motion to terminate this meeting. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Adhikari, are there any objections? The time is 7:41 p.m. This meeting is terminated. Please meet at the front steps in the first floor so we can take a picture